Okay, all right, so I am back with, we're going to do a little bit more explanation about the context behind this lab. So I'm going to, again, focus more so on the alcohol portion of this with the hand sanitizer versus the soap itself, even though we did use soap in this lab. So I would show this video also to the students, but I'm not going to do that now. I'll just include a link later. So I will be posting that in a document I'm going to type up. But for looking here, so this is a little bit of brief explanation of what I would include for my students before we just dive into the lab. Okay, so I would first go over what alcohols were. All right, so alcohols are going to contain the, it's called a hydroxyl group. And the hydroxyl group is OH. Focus there. There we go. Okay. So the general formula for alcohols is going to be ROH, where again OH is the functional group. So that's the hydroxyl, and then R is going to be the hydrocarbon chain. So that just will vary depending on what type of alcohol we're going to be using. Now, hand sanitizers. A lot of those can contain ethanol. Oops, you can't see that. Okay, so they can contain ethanol. They can also contain isopropyl alcohol. Okay, so one thing we're going to look at is drawing these structures here. So that is what we are going to be focusing on next. Oh, I also forgot one. In propanol. Okay, notice they all end in OL. That's what alcohols do. We can tell it's an alcohol because it ends in OL, and we're going to see that they should have the same functional group, the hydroxyl group there. So we're going to draw ethanol first. We are going to look at 2 carbons. Okay, so we have ethanol. Now isopropyl alcohol. I guess I'll draw out the carbons to keep it consistent. I normally don't. Oops, that's a 3. Okay, then this is not complete. So we have the isopropyl part down except for the hydroxyl group. We got to add that to make it the alcohol. So again, we have our functional group, OH, so we're looking for. And propanol. So propanol should have 3 carbons, just like the isopropyl alcohol. Oops, I messed that up. I don't know if I have hand sanitizer nearby. I'm not hand sanitizer. Whiteout. Let's just start over. The joys of using pen. Okay. There we go. That's better. H2OH. So again, we have our hydroxyl group, which makes it an alcohol. And I'm going to really get rid of that so it's not too distracting. Okay, so these don't look too terribly different. We have 2 carbons here and ethanol. That should be apparent from the name. And then we have propanol. So that should be apparent from this name. It should have 3 carbons. Same here with isopropyl alcohol and propanol have 3 carbons. So that's going to be fairly consistent. The difference here between the isopropyl alcohol and propanol is that isopropyl alcohol has the hydroxyl group and the middle carbon here, whereas N-propanol has it on the this carbon here, the first carbon. Okay. All right, so we have that written down. Now, one thing I would do with the students is I would next have them look at the hand sanitizer that we use. So this is a hand sanitizer. This is what I bought towards the end of the pandemic. It's not a brand I normally buy. I usually buy like Germex or something like that. So don't really know what's in it. It smells terrible. It has a very, very alcoholic smell, like bottom shelf alcohol. It's just not very good smelling. My students used it last year. They thought it was gross. We just agreed not to use it that much. But it does help with your hands because it has aloe in it. So 62% alcohol. So I would have them look at the back, the great ingredient list. So let's see. We are looking at the active ingredients. So active ingredients, we have, let's focus that up. Ethyl alcohol, which is going to be ethanol. So that is located here. So it does have 62%. I'll stay focused. 62% ethanol for active ingredients. Let's go down here to inactive ingredients. Water. Also is going to have isopropyl alcohol. So it does have both of these types found in this hand sanitizer. Let's see. Aminomethylpropanol. Okay, so that's another type as well. Now, if we look here, I would have them maybe look at tocylferol acetate, vitamin E. I would have them look up some of these structures here, like propylene glycol. I would have them look up some of these other structures that they're not as familiar with, like glycerin. Have them look up those molecules, draw them out like what we did here. So that would be their next step, drawing out the molecules, the organic shape here, the specific structure, and then telling me why were these ingredients added to this hand sanitizer. So what was glycerin used for? Why did we add vitamin E to that? Is there a reason for it, or do they just like to add a bunch of scary chemicals? So I think by breaking it down, showing why we added these, that would also help the students understand not only the organic structure a little bit better, but also understand how hand sanitizer works beyond just the polarity of hand sanitizer. So speaking of polarity, I would also go into detail with them about the polar structure. So this would be in their lab that I would include with them about the polar structure. So we have here our carbon atoms are chained in our hydroxyl group, forms a hydrogen bond with the water here. And we would go into detail about how this polar part would help. It really would help disrupt the hand sanitizer itself. Would help disrupt the region surrounding the virus. So let's go back to the virus. Let me pull it up. Nope, wrong one. Too many tabs. Okay. Again, so it would really disrupt this capsid and then this protein coat. So soap would be effective, but again, we're focusing on the alcohol portion since we're looking at that from the organic side. It would help disrupt this coating, this outside portion, which would make the virus essentially ineffective to distribute its genetic material. So that's all I have for the crash course. I would go over beforehand with, what alcohols were, which I covered up here. Just this is something I would expect them to know going into it. It would just be reinforced with this activity. I would then have them look up hand sanitizers and what alcohols are most commonly found in there. That could be found in this video that I would show beforehand if they were paying attention. That's where I got this information from. This was suggested from one of the videos in the lab itself, actually in the teacher portion. This was a suggested video. And it also goes through what some of the other molecules are used for, such as glycerol. There was something else here. I think it was the vitamin E that was also found in here as well. So I would have them do that. We would go over it. They would research some of these ingredients and why we use them, because there is a lot of uses for organic molecules that we use in everyday life. Okay, so that's all I have, and thanks for watching the video.